Hi, welcome to my channel. If you clicked on this video, you probably want to know more about these Maimeriblu watercolor greens. So today, they are the star of the show. I'll be swatching them, I'll be painting with them. I want you to see how they actually behave on paper, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be happy with what you've learned. I'll also be giving you a very honest review on these watercolors, and I think nobody really talks about the properties in detail of these pigments. And that's what I'm here for today. And just so you know, this is the final episode in my Maimeriblu swatching series. I've already swatched yellows, reds, oranges, and blues. And today we're finishing up with these greens and blue greens. And like I said before, I will be including a little painting demonstration at the end of this video, and feel free to join and paint along with me. It's gonna be very fun. As far as supplies go, I am using, obviously, Maimeriblu Watercolors and one of my favorite paint brushes for swatching colors, which is a number 8 round brush Da Vinci Cosmotop Spin. I like the fact that this brush has hard bristles, and that makes it very easy to pick up the paint from a well. I don't need to pre-wet my paints, and I can just go in, rub a little bit, and it comes up very quickly. You can see it as my heavy-duty brush. And yes, with harsher brushes, sometimes you need to be a bit careful about not scrubbing the paper. So anyway, I went on a tangent. And for the paper, I'm just using some regular mixed media paper. It's 100% cellulose. Nothing too fancy. It's just like regular paper. And I like that. You know why? Because sometimes with the cotton paper, the paint just sinks in. The paint gets absorbed by the paper, and sometimes it fades away a little bit more than you want to. But with cellulose paper, the paint sits on the surface of your paper, and it's good because I can actually see the colors, the true colors. So let's dive into the swatching. This is the first color, and it's called Phtalo Turquoise, pigment PB154. It's transparent and it doesn't granulate. This one is a gorgeous color, ideal for painting water. It might surprise you, but I actually don't use this one that much. Most of the time I reach for turquoise green and Cupric green Phtalo Deep, which you'll see soon, like right next to this one. This gives me a more movement and freshness to when I paint water. That said, this is still a really beautiful color. If you like to keep your watercolors a bit more steady and controlled, this pigment is a good option. It sits very nicely between blue and green and doesn't push too aggressively in either direction. It's transparent, highly pigmented, and it does disperse. Next is Cupric green Phtalo Deep, pigment PG7. I really like this one. If I had to choose between a phthalo green leaning yellow or leaning blue, I'll always pick the blue one, which is this PG7. I always reach for this one when I'm painting water. And even if I have to recreate that kind of like sap green, like Holbein sap green or Winsor & Newton sap green, I will reach for this one, even though they use the other phthalo green in the mix. Yeah, I like it. It has a lot of depth and richness, and it gives that cool, fresh feeling that works beautifully for oceans, lakes, and water in general. This one is now Cupric green Phtalo Light. It's the pigment PG36. It's transparent, and it's the brother of Cupric green Phtalo Deep. And yes, like I said, this pigment is used for the standard sap green mixes. It works really well for botanical work, which I don't do much. I'm not really a botanical painter. Next one is sap green PG17. The name can be a little confusing at first, so stay with me. This is obviously not a traditional sap green like the ones you might know from other brands. It's actually oxide green, so it's more muted and it's opaque. Basically, because Maimeriblu is a monopigment brand, I do understand where they're coming from with this sap green name. I don't know it for certain, but I imagine it's because it's one of the most organic looking greens in the range they have. It's soft, earthy, and very natural. Because it's opaque, I don't use it every day, but I do like having it in my palette. Opaque watercolors can be very useful for small corrections. Another way I use it is to mute phthalo greens. Phthalos are extremely bright by nature, and when I want to just calm them down without shifting the hue, I'll mix in this oxide green. Lastly, I'm swatching neutral tint, pigment PBK26. I really like this one. It's very strong, dark, and basically a cool black. Unlike many blacks that lean reddish, this one stays cool, which I personally prefer. Because it's so strongly pigmented, it lasts a very long time. You only need the smallest amount of this one. Now I'm going to paint a leaf wet on wet using these colors, and not exactly in the same order, but I'm basically using Phtalo Turquoise first, and I'm going to build the temperature from there. So going to the deepest greens. I'll be very happy if you paint along with me, and it's a great opportunity to work on that color temperature exercise, and you can see what I do. It's gonna be super easy. Here is where you can really see how these pigments behave, how quickly they move, how far they spread, and how much control they require. Which, spoiler alert, when I first bought these pigments, I was like, oh cool, they disperse, they bloom, they this and that. But then when you actually are trying to paint something, it's so hard. And I'm sorry, but I don't want to put you off. I'm just talking for me, for my style. You know, I work wet and wet, and I'm looking for something more controllable. No, wet and wet is very freeing when you have pigments that just stay put, but if you have Maimeriblues and they spread, you lose control of everything. So what I could do is to reduce the water on the paper and go in with a thicker paint, but then it's like it dries off kind of weird, and by weird I mean streaky. So yeah, they're not great for this purpose. But hear me out. If you are someone who glazes, someone who likes clarity, like very transparent pigments, someone who paints alla prima, by glazer I mean someone who paints in layers and lets the previous layer completely dry, these pigments are perfect for your style. You're not gonna find anything better than this. Back to the painting demo. Basically, I lay down a thin layer of turquoise green, which are gonna be my highlights. And then after that, between the highlights and the midtones, I wanted to fill in the gap with a watery mix of the two Cupric greens, and that's what you're seeing. And after that, I'm going to go in with an even thicker paint, which is going to be sap green, and that's going to bring the leaf together. You're going to see some more structure to it, and that's what you're seeing right now. You may be wondering, when am I using these pigments, considering they're not my #1 choice when working wet on wet, and that they're not exactly compatible with my wet on wet technique? Well, many times I use them for backgrounds, and they're a lot of fun. And generally, I reach out for these pigments when I want some extra saturation, that extra kick of vibrancy. Like I said, these are great for layering, and that's what makes them my #1 choice when I need to build up layers. Some of them, especially the Phthalos, quinacridones, lemon yellow also was very transparent. Like the paste they come in has a very waxy honey texture to it that you can't even feel the granules of the pigment under it. It's something very particular that I've never found in any other watercolor brands. If you have any of these Maimeriblu tubes, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Now in the painting, I'm introducing some midtones, precisely some darker midtones between the midtones and the shadow. That's a mix of sap green with maybe a little touch of neutral tint to make things a bit more intense, define the shape of the leaf. And you can see that, yes, I'm working wet on wet, but it's not like I'm working with watery paint forever. I will always increase the density, the thickness of my pigment as the paper dries. If you like what you're seeing, please give this video a like and subscribe. That really helps me create more content and hopefully helps other artists find my channel. I have lots of watercolor tips in form of shorts, and I have longer videos on my channel. So if this is the first time for you to see my video, head over to my channel and have a look. What I'll do next is lifting the paint. Lifting on cellulose paper is so much easier than cotton paper, obviously because the paint doesn't get absorbed by the paper. It's a completely different behavior. Some people may like to use this technique to correct mistakes, and other people, like me for example, like to use it to restore highlights, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. If you have any doubts about any kind of topic in watercolor, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'm happy to make a video about it. Why not? Many times I get very inspiring comments about different topics, and I'm like, oh, that's actually something that I can talk about. It gives me inspiration. The next thing I'll do on this leaf is just adding the darkest darks, and they're going to be made of neutral tint, either pure neutral tint and sap green together, and that's what's going to give this leaf the final shape. Also, towards the end, I added some grain of salts to create some texture on this leaf. I couldn't help it, but I added also a touch of transparent Mars Red, which is an oxide pigment, which is basically a transparent version of burnt sienna. I really feel like adding that complementary color adds a certain depth to the leaf and it makes it look more realistic, because now I look at the leaf and it's a bit acidic as much as I tried to keep it organic and all that. But you can see it's a very vivid leaf. So we need to turn down the volume a little bit, if you know what I mean. So for those who are painting, I'll let the video roll and we'll catch up at the end for the final conclusion. So the question is, are Maimeriblu watercolors for everyone? Honestly, I don't think they are. These pigments disperse a lot. If your paper is too wet, the color won't stay where you put it. It spreads, it fades, and loses concentration. And yeah, to paint an actual subject wet on wet with these watercolors, the paper needs to be only very lightly damp, no puddles at all. The paint needs to be a little bit thicker than just colored water. Otherwise, if you don't do that, the pigment spreads so much and it won't hold the shape. That said, these paints are amazing if you enjoy painting abstract meditation pieces or some expressive backgrounds and where movement is part of the beauty. I also believe that they are some of the most transparent watercolors I've ever used. This alone makes them perfect for glazing. And obviously, if you're just working wet on dry, these paints are excellent. So no, they're not for everybody, but for the right uses, they're absolutely outstanding. These are just my 2 cents. I hope you liked it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. And again, if you have any questions or any topics you want to clarify on watercolor, leave me a comment below and I'm happy to cover that in one of my next videos. If you haven't done that yet, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.